Welcome to today's Daily Awesome. It is April 27th. It is actually 1:49 a.m. We have been on this call since 8 p.m. Austin time. And man, 6 hours. 6 hours of guys talking about the reality of what it is to be a man. And here we're talking about cheating, infidelity, all the different things that are going to come up to you as a man in your sexual life. And man, we're going to the wee hours in the morning on this one. I love it. It is so good to be here. So whenever we talk about this sort of stuff, it's always a hot topic, but we also are a community of men who've experienced not only the high road, but in order to get to that high road, we've also experienced the low road. And I want to share with you the reality of the stories of our lives and what we've done. And so when it comes down to cheating, this came up with us. And we all had a pretty interesting answer to story. And what actually got brought up was this, is number one of our members actually said, if you get caught cheating, do you ever just say like, hey, look, this was a mistake, baby, this was all for you, and it made me love you more. I'm sorry. All I did was think about you and blah, 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 and all this sort of stuff, man. And these things that we as men who've had a sexual life and who've done this and gotten caught with it have most likely done. Now, the answer that we got to, I want to get to here in a second or just up, but I want to talk to you about the Daily Awesome because it's a podcast that is designed for men to be part of, take part of, and learn about the real story of masculinity. Now, these are recorded on our calls, our men's development excellence calls, where we basically have a massive community of men. Like Wednesday night, we start off at 8 p.m. Austin time, but it goes and goes and goes until people hang up. And right now there's 8 guys on there talking about, man, all sorts of stuff, man, just crazy, crazy stuff that goes all across the board. But a men's group is important and it needs to be cherished in the sense that we don't have that anymore. Now, there's nothing wrong with, of course, integrating with society. I don't even want to get into that, but to have a core group of men that you can privately talk about guy stuff with is very, very important, man. And we can only learn masculinity from men who have walked in our shoes before us. Like we say on these calls, we speak to the wisdom. And if you like this podcast, you can find all the links down below. What I would recommend is if you're listening to this in the month of April, you can download the Way of the Sexual Man PDF. It's a great PDF. So much to it. 5 things that you could do. It takes you about 15, 20 minutes to read 5 things that you can do every day to really help you get that charge of masculinity, written by men and for men and actually revised by men in our groups. So we've been doing this for a long time. We love what we do. I love what we do, and I'm so grateful for it. Now, that being said, let's get into this question. So it got brought up. What happens when you get caught? Immediately after he said, should I say like, baby, you're the best. It made me love you more. All I did was think about you. I'm so sorry. It was a mistake and all these different things. A lot of the guys who are very sexually experienced were like, no. Don't ever say that. Don't ever say that. And there's a theme that we've talked about with cheating quite a bit where we take on this idea of why are you bringing it up? Why are you bringing it up and why are you telling it? Why are you communicating something that through experience, because so many of us have walked the low road before we got to the high road, and that's how we got there. And I don't trust anybody on the high road who hasn't walked on the low road, the high road being the one of integrity and all the stuff that we, idealize and people talk about, but have not really done. But we got there through that low road, which is the road of lying, cheating, being afraid to show who we are and all these different things and learning the value of honesty from that and what integrity really is from living a life of not having that. So one of those things is, man, why do you have to be so selfish to bring it up? Because really you're bringing it up to get something off of your chest. Now, what she's asking, and it goes into this whole dynamic of this, is that what she's asking is very different from in a different state, different situation, different mindset from the moment that she finds out that you actually did cheat. Once that happens, man, eruption happens. And if you've ever been on the other side of this, you might be saying like, oh, baby, did you cheat on me? Did you cheat on me? It doesn't matter. Just tell me. I just want the truth. I want honesty. I just want to hear what you did. It's not a big deal. I don't care. And then as soon as she tells you that she did, boom. What the, man, fuck you, you whore. I want you to die. Get out of here. You go all crazy. Or I don't know if you guys have been there, but you should understand that feeling. That's exactly what happens here. And it actually made the analogy of a couple different ways. The more PC way of the analogy was this, is if you ever taken a test that you didn't study for and you knew you did really bad on, you wanted to know. But as soon as you found out that you, let's say, did good on it, you were like, oh man, I'm a genius. You don't really think much about it. right? But then as soon as you find out you actually did do bad, then you get pissed off. A better analogy that I thought was a little bit that I could relate with more. However, maybe not too many people have related with it, but if a close friend or family member passes away and you hear about it and you're like, oh man, it's not true, it's not true. And then you actually go to the funeral or you see the body or whatever situation sets you in that reality, you cannot predict the feeling that you're going to feel then. You can logically understand it. You can maybe even have experienced it before, but the wave of emotion that comes over you at that moment is just so incomprehensible. And that's what you're putting a woman through. So one of the things is if you are going to cheat and you are going to do that, fuck man, wear the responsibility of it. And part of that responsibility of it is to not bring more harm to the person. Now, as we know, and all of us men who've been in this, and there was a time in my life for 5 years straight. Now, for 13 years, I was non-monogamous and I cheated a lot. But for 5 years, I was getting caught cheating on a weekly basis. I had a lot of different relationships going. There was a lot of stuff going on, man. It was a little bit of a crazy lifestyle. I don't do that anymore, but I definitely know the consequences in life of what that is. Now, in that, it just got so overwhelming. And so what I started doing when I'd get caught was just say, man, I'm sorry. I did it. It was stupid. It was the wrong thing. I don't want to fight. If we're going to break up, we're going to break up. See you later. And guess what happened? And the guys were asking me this, is that most of the time the girls came back. Now, guys hear that as some tactic or technique on how to get back with people, but it's a horrible, dysfunctional way to live. You don't build good relationships that way. You don't communicate good with a person that way. You do not make a woman better in that way. You actually hurt her. You cause the relationship to be something very different than it was. But let's say if you did go through something where you did cheat on somebody and you weren't doing it habitually like me and that happened and you got caught for it, man, cop to it immediately, you know? Now, if you're just being questioned on it, that's different, man. You need to. You're the guy that cheated. You're the motherfucker that did that. You're the one who did the wrong. Now, in doing that, you don't need to cause more harm. So what I would say is yes, lie about it. Not lie about it so that you could get off the hook, but lie about it because you are the one who needs to bear that burden. You do not need to infect other people with it. That also being said, stop thinking of yourself in this guilty way. So many times when people cheat, and this is one thing that I had to look at to actually resolve the issue with myself, was that I had to stop seeing it as a bad thing. I started polarizing myself as that I was this, really good person or really bad person, or this black and white person, that a part of me that was evil, but a part of me was good. No, here's the fact of the matter of it. In cheating, it wasn't because I was this horrible, deceptive, evil person. I had traits of that, but it was that I chased pleasure. I was irresponsible with my communication, and I broke contracts with people. I betrayed them. I lied. I did all those things, but I needed to see him for exactly that rather than I'm this fundamentally flawed human being that's confused and some part of me liked it. I also needed to then look at, in addition to all those things that was making me go like, all right, I'm going to cheat and I'm not going to be responsible with my communication. I'm more willing to lie and take the easy road and whatever. But I also had to look at why I was doing that. There was a part of me that was good and that was me that was wanting to be fulfilled sexually, that wasn't supposed to be in a relationship. And it was my inability to look at myself and sort those things out and be able to communicate with it, to be able to get to a place where I could communicate to it. Once I could do that, then I could evolve back to my own expression. See, before we're doing that, we're just reacting or we're just chasing something. We might be running from ourselves or running from a belief in ourselves of what might be good or bad in terms of sex. But the key is that you need to be honest with yourself and in order for your own, emotional problems or issues transition to what they're meant to be. So, long story short, if you've cheated, man, a lot of people have done it. It's not good. It's not the right thing to do. It does not fuel or fulfill a happy relationship. But in some ways, it can also be a very normal thing that people go through. You need to be honest with yourself. Don't throw other people, even your loved one that perhaps you cheated on, into the mix. There's no reason to do that to cause more harm. If you do get directly caught with it, admit it. Admit it. Let it slide. Don't get caught up into the drama. Don't get caught up into all that sort of stuff. And this is actually where the real dialogue comes out. You get caught cheating. You're like, no, but really, I love you and I want you and blah. And you get caught up into all that sort of stuff. well, then it just turns into more of an argument of like, well, if you loved me, you did this. You didn't love me. Don't say you love me. Fuck you, blah, 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 blah. You need to let that run out of gas. You need to let that run out of gas, start feeding your relationships with what you want them to be. And if you don't know how to do that, bounce the idea off some different members of our groups on how that can be. You can do that for free on the Austin Men's Development Board, but a better place to do it would be on the Men's Development Excellence Board, MD Excellence. You can find the links to join that down below, and it's one of the most worth it things you'll ever do in your life. A few other things too is that one thing that came about from my years, or about like 5 years straight of just rampantly doing this and living this lifestyle. Sometimes I wasn't cheating and I was in an open relationship, but nonetheless, a lot of crazy stuff. I've truly lived a pretty sexual life and learned to regulate that into a very healthy way, because I don't think the behavior of sex is bad ever. That means any sex act you do or any choice in how you're having sex or expressing your body isn't bad as long as it's you. All right. So society may see it as very abnormal to be ultra promiscuous or whatever, but that doesn't mean that you have to be unhappy or you're doing something wrong. Now, in all of that, what I realized from having multiple sexual partners was that the ones that I was in a relationship with that I cared about a lot, that the ones that I would be cheating on, what helped so much, whether I was dating one of them or multiple of them at the same time, was then I would have sex with some random person. It made me cherish, connect, and feel so much more just emotionally attached and in love with them. And that was a really beautiful experience. The only problem with that, because the behavior is never wrong or the phenomenon isn't wrong, was that I was lying to myself and to them about it. So sexual variety is a really great thing when we have it. We just need to be more responsible to do it. One of the better quotes that I've ever heard from, different movies and so on about relationships was actually on Big Love, where the guy was talking about polygamy. And I wish more people who talked about multiple long-term relationships would actually mention this. And the fact that they don't say this makes me think that they're not actually doing it. But when you have more women under your roof, or when you're having sex with multiple women, you're having those relationships, it actually takes being more of a man to do that. And it's a big responsibility. That was something that was mentioned in the show. And let me tell you, the reality of that statement is absolutely true. Nothing wrong with wanting, every man wants to date multiple women, but it's actually a difficult thing to do, and something that occupies a lot of time, a lot of strength, a lot of just organization and managing of emotion, including your own. That being said, tap into what we got here. We're a men's group. We're alive and strong. We're living. The stuff that you hear on this podcast, or which you read in our PDFs that we give away for free, like The Way of the Sexual Man, are things that guys have talked about over and over again in groups where men are working on themselves on every level. That's what we do. Take part in it. Join in wherever you can, and you're always welcome. All right. Thank you. That's today's Daily Awesome, and we will talk to you soon.